Okay, we just went through in the last video designing the Windows Form application called Names. One thing we need to do now is go ahead and name the different controls that we added to this Windows Form application. So right now I have this text box right here selected that's right next to first name. So that's going to be the first name text box. So down in your properties window under name, text box, we'll call it first name. Do the exact same thing on the next one, but we'll call it last name. Okay. Now what we need to do is go ahead and name our buttons. I'm going to do this a little bit different. We'll just call this submit button. Call this clear button. We will call this close button. Now, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and create the basic click event, which is the default event for a button. To do that, you can just double click on the button and it will create it. Please note that this close button, it went ahead and called it by the name that you just gave it, close button underscore click, and this is an event. So this area right here where your cursor is, that's where you're going to want to write the C# code to make the button do what it's supposed to do. In between this curly brace and that curly brace. Now keep in mind C# is a case sensitive programming language, and lines of code or blocks of code need to be ended in a semicolon. Some lines of code continue on, to make 2 or more lines, and you put the semicolon at the end. For this, what we're going to do is we just want this to close. So there's a method already in the .NET framework called close, just like so. Close parentheses semicolon. We've done the programming for that individual button. Now we're going to do the same thing for the clear button. What does the clear button do? When you click on the clear button, it is supposed to clear out any information that has been input in the 2 text boxes, last name and first name text box that we added. So if I go ahead and type text, you'll notice that first name comes up. First name, text box first name dot text, forgive me, dot clear, and I'm going to go ahead and hit my tab key and it will go ahead and complete this piece right here, piece of code right there. That just makes things a little faster. Same thing, we're going to do the same exact thing, same thing for the last name text box. Tab again, and it has added the code to the clear button click event. So all this is doing is taking the name of the text box and calling the clear method upon it to clear it out. That is all it's doing. We're going to go over and do the same thing with the submit button. This has created the submit button click event for us. Since we're working with 2 text boxes that will contain some type of information in them that is alpha or numeric, could be numeric. With first name and last name, it's almost always going to be just basic text characters. So there's a specific data type that we want to use. I don't want to get into data types much other than this simple thing called a string. So we'll just go ahead and type string, and we'll call this first name equals text box first name dot text. You will see that IntelliSense is automatically giving this suggested line of code of what we might want to do next. So to go ahead and complete this, I'm just going to go ahead and hit tab, and it adds this. So what we've done is we've said, hey, we want a variable of type string, and we're going to call that variable the last name, and we're going to set whatever is in this text box here into that variable. If that doesn't make sense to you right now, don't worry, it will. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and display the input from the first name and last name text boxes into a small little box that's called a message box, just to display the message back to the user. So to do this, we want to go ahead and type message box dot show, where show is a method that we're calling to tell it what we want it to do. So message box dot show first name plus last name. Okay, so what this did for us is this has taken the first name variable and what's called concatenating, which is basically taking a string and adding it to another string. So this is taking first name, adding it to a single space here inside the double quotes, and then adding it to last name. So this will be like Joe space Ruft, for my name. Okay, so we've written all the code that we need to do for this specific application. We're going to go ahead and save it. Click this start button to go ahead and start the application so we can take a look at it and test out our program. Okay, so Joe Ruft. We'll hit the submit button. We ended up getting our message box, says Joe Ruft. That button is working like expected. Go ahead and hit OK. Let's click the clear button, see what happens there. Clear button cleared out the text in these text boxes like expected. And let's hit the close button and see what happens. The application closed. That right there, my friends, is a gentle introduction to creating your first Windows Form application. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.